Jesse, what's up?
Yeah. Hey, buddy.
Welcome to Recovering Loudly, the Possessed podcast.
I love it. Thanks for
How
having
you
me.
doing?
Yeah, good
Yeah,
to have
good,
you
man.
on.
Thank you.
Uh,
So, right out of the gate, then tell us who you are and what you do, because we know that you got your own business, which is
Yeah.
Non-Judgmental Recovery, which is sweet, and you work in Maple Ridge here, which is on the outskirts of Vancouver. It's our small little town. So tell us about yourself and tell us about your brand.
Sure. Yeah. Well, a little bit about me. I struggled with a severe crack addiction. I started when I was about 13 years old. Frequented the downtown east side, really everywhere. And I struggled with that for about 23 years. I tried a whole bunch of things to try to get better, and nothing really worked. I decided to come to Maple Ridge Treatment Center here about 5 years ago, and then that sort of stuck. We can get more into that a little later or whatever if we have time. But during that time, I'd decided to create this nonprofit, which was to be able to just to be there for people, reach people where they're at, and really develop this model of recovery that's open to everybody, which is like this low barrier recovery that we do here called Non-Judgmental Recovery Society. So that's sort of just a little bit about me, and then we created this nonprofit, which is amazing. We run support meetings here at the Seed Center in Maple Ridge. It's also on Zoom as well. Then those support meetings grew into outreach, where we go and reach people where they're at with care packs, smokes, love, support, connection, and then that grew into referrals and transports as well. So as soon as someone says that they're done, we can navigate the system for them and maybe find them a place to go. And it's just been amazing.
Wow,
And then
dude,
that's sort of
that's
how
so
I met
good.
you.
So my next question is: this is Recovering Loudly. We're loud people. We are. I know you personally, and we're very intense. I think addicts in general, recovering or still suffering, we're loud people. So, and this is the Possessed podcast. So, Jesse, what possesses you with your drive? Why do you do this?
Yeah,
What's
just
possessing
to
you?
be the
What's your
person that,
purpose?
yeah, what possesses me is to be the person that I needed when I was out there. And that's what possesses me, man.
What a fucking great answer.
that is
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's all encompassing, man. So no matter what I do, where I go, how I do it, that's my purpose.
And so,
That's with my kid and my family, with the nonprofit, with the philanthropy work, just all of it. And that's what possesses me.
That's amazing. Right?
Right?
and so,
Jaimen, you had something there?
yeah, because I'm here in Maple Ridge. I see you guys around, giving out the care packages and everything, which is awesome. And yeah,
Mhm.
Seed Center's right down the street from me. What made you get involved in the community here in Maple Ridge in particular?
There wasn't anything in particular that did that. I mean, when I came to treatment here, it was like here I was, and then what they really taught me in that space was the connection piece, and that was the opposite, connection, opposite of addiction, all that kind of
Beauty.
jazz. And then,
Yeah, honey.
but so here's where I was to practice that, and so I
Right.
started making these connections here, and I came from the street, right? So I really had nowhere else to go anyway, and here was as good a place as any. And
Yeah.
because I already built those support networks, I didn't really want to leave that behind, and so I really fought hard to make this my home, and here
Nice,
I
for
am
sure.
5 years later.
Yeah. No, that's awesome because I love this community and everything. So yeah, it made me curious what, getting involved in this area. Yeah. But that
Yeah,
makes sense, with the treatment center being there and just, yeah, building the connection.
and I do have a
How
little
do you
history
see?
too. Like when I was younger, I was in foster care too, out here, and I don't remember how old I was per se, maybe 15 or 16. So I'd be like running around the Haney Mall, smoking joints or doing this and stuff. So I have like a little bit of history here. So I just I don't know. It's nice. I love Ridge, and there's like water everywhere. Like we have like the best space here. We have all the lakes, mountains. Like we're
Yeah.
just it's great.
Totally. I was out for a walk the other day with one of my clients, and I was going over this wooden bridge in this beautiful marshy area, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, fuck, this town is gorgeous. Like, we're so lucky to live here. Because I know a lot of people are like, ah, fuck Maple Ridge and get out of your town. And and Maple Ridge is, we're going through a rough patch right now. Like, with the homeless situation, and it's sort of, there's a lot going on, obviously, especially
Yeah.
with shooting that just happened. Just shook, man. That's just crazy. It is a beautiful town, and it's, there's a lot of hope and promise, and I do love it here myself. But yeah, what about that, Jess? Obviously Maple Ridge has gotten pretty bad in the last, while. It's a smaller version of.
Yes and no, though. I mean, it's sort of been the same since I've been here.
No, I
To
know.
me, I
5
think
years?
it's gotten a bit better as far as the community supports, and as far as the love that's being shown. There is
Oh,
more
for
hate
sure.
before than there is now, that I'm aware of, that I'm experiencing. With everything. So, but I mean, we have all the resources here. Not enough resources, but there are a lot. So that's why we're seeing a lot of people, is because that's, where you have resources, that's where people go. So, I just wish we had more housing and more, more housing for sure. Then we maybe wouldn't see it as
So
much.
that brings me to more of my questions. Like, what do you think the solution is? Like, what is it's a really hard question for sure. Like, I've struggled with addiction. I've been a revolving door. Like, I've been able to, I was really bad for a long time, and my main addiction was alcohol. There was a time where I was on crack too, and meth and cocaine and all that. And gradually, by the grace of the gods, I grew out of the chemical addictions, and sort of that turned into a severe alcohol addiction. And slowly I've been able to get away from that, progress, not perfection.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, there's people that are really entrenched. Like, it's, when I joined as an outreach worker, I thought I would run into the downtown east side and just go to all these people and be like, hey guys, like, listen to Hatebreed and do push-ups and drink water, and we can get through it. And they're just, that's just not the case. Like, these people are, it's really bad, and they're really struggling. And I wonder, like, what do you think a solution is? Like, there's a spectrum of recovery. So, like, what do you think?
Just being there for people, man. Just reaching people where they're at, and that's on all levels. I mean, if someone wants, to get better, or they want to make that effort to do it, and that's what it is. It really takes effort, right? So if someone has that drive and they want to do that, then let's be there for them. If they don't, if they're happy, if they're content where they are, let's be there for them. Let's just help them in a safer way, right? And reduce the harm the best we can. And that's what's so important about harm reduction, is reducing harm. And it's not the pipes and the dope and the this. It's about maybe a shower, a sandwich, a hug. That's harm reduction.
Wow. Right. That's similar to what we kind of preach here, Jaimen. Like meeting people where they are in recovery. Like, where are you at?
But there's no solution. There's no solution, and there's no one way cookie cutter thing.
Yeah, it's unique.
One thing might not work for the other.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's individual based.
Yeah, and it has to be, and that's the tricky part.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on
finding out what that is? Sorry, what's that?
What are your thoughts on, like, forced treatment? Like, forced treatment versus voluntary? Like, do you think it would work? What do you think? Like, in some cases, you think it would work for some people? Now, when I ask you that question, I think forced treatment would work for some people if where they went to was like a really in-depth, like, recovery ranch. Not like an MRTC. We're talking like in the mountains, a recovery ranch where they're given purpose, drive. They're given, they're given really good in-depth counseling, trauma therapy, ADHD therapy, all these types of things. Of course, where would the funding be for that? And then I think if you just healed a person enough that they wouldn't want to go back, I think that's where I come from, but I don't, a lot of people say,
and it would work. And so let's be fair, we've had the interventions and all these other types of programs that have come on board, and we've seen that work for some people, but we've also seen it not work. And when it doesn't work, it kind of makes things a bit worse, because now that individual is now sour to that model of recovery or that way of thinking. So because it was forced, right? So anything that was ever forced on me, I now have resentments to that. You know what I mean? And I still hold those grudges. So when let's say, AA kind of shunned me because I had a slip, now I resent that. So because of they're forcing their way on me, but when you talked about purpose, so that's huge too. So I think if we had a model where we gave people funding for their own business or whatever their passion may be, or to help them find what their passion is, because there's people, and that's me too. I still don't even know what my full passion is, or what I might be into. Would it be art? Would it be music? Would it be this? Because I've always started things and never finished it. I never really followed through on things, so I still don't know what my initial or my ultimate purpose would be. But if we had a way to help people figure that out and then put funding into that to help them, like in Europe, that's what they did. They stopped putting money into the jails and the criminalizing the drugs, and they put that money back into the community. And okay, here's a house, here's a business. Now roll with it. Instead of, okay, here, we're putting you in this place now for a year or 2 years, but yet when you get out, you got nothing.
So we're failing here. So what you're saying is our government is failing right now. Legalization of the drugs isn't necessarily a good one.
It wasn't followed through with. It wasn't followed through with the intention. It wasn't followed through with what's next. How are we? Okay, we can decriminalize this, but then what are we going to give you to support you through that?
So that's freaky, because you think the politicians, you think that our government would know that, would have enough foresight for that. So you're telling me that
the model there in Holland or wherever that it works.
Right.
They see it. But then they're not going to make their money.
Who's not?
The guy. It's a money game, guys.
Yeah.
Well, I know, but who specifically? We're going
to give you this prescription, and we're going to make you sick. We're going to keep you sick so I can keep making money.
And so, what do you think is recently pulled back on the open drug use thing? And now they were allowing that, and it had its ups and downs, and a lot of people complained about it. And so they've gone and changed that. What are your thoughts on, do you think it was a good step? Do you think it's going to lead to some new, better solution because of, I guess they sort of tried and failed with whatever that approach was?
I don't know. I just see them just putting their tail in their legs and just, trying to, they're just
backing right away from
backtracking it, right? And they didn't think it through.
Right.
But really, I don't have too much of an opinion on that.
Yeah. That's crazy to me, man.
Way above
right,
anything that I know much about. But
right. Because it's
quite silly that our government would do that, though. You know what I mean? Almost it should be leave it up to talk to the addicts, talk to the recovery centers, the meetings, let's legalize it.
With the cannabis. So what they did with the cannabis, though, they legalized it, right? And you have all this stuff, and you have all these shops popping up. And so, okay, what about the mom and pop? What about the person that's been growing for 20 years that knows what they're doing, and that's how they feed their family and their community? You know what I mean? And then now they're outed by the government that has a far inferior product and for quadruple the price. And so basically they flooded the market with all this cheap weed, and then outed all the people that have been doing it for years. You know what I mean? So that's one example of legalizing stuff. It really doesn't have not much bearing on the safe supply or the other stuff. But I mean, it's similar though, right? It's just the way the government's coming in to capitalize on things, right?
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, if you really dig deep enough, the addiction crisis, the homeless crisis, the mental health crisis, they're all symptoms of a broken fucking society built on fucking greed, profits, and just like toxic capitalism. So like, I mean, we really dig deep enough, we can go like, there it is. Like if we could just maybe hand some of that money back, you wouldn't have these problems. And while there's money to be made and corrupt fuckheads, and that's why it's, that's the thing.
And during the pandemic too, we had and through all of this, there's the few here that are making more money off of it, while we all have to pay more taxes and we have to pay more for bread and milk and everything else. And while they are getting rich, they're getting rich off of everything. It's insane. It's crazy.
It doesn't make
when a little bit of that money, like one person holds this big pot, when really just a fraction of that could go across the world and everybody could have their own house, their own garden, their own sustainability.
And then you'd have, and there's a labor shortage. So like my theory is like you have a labor shortage for all these things, but we have a labor force that's homeless and addicted. So if we could get them back on track, you'd have more people available to do the work.
Yeah, exactly.
So another question, I know that Jess, how long are you sober? How long have you been sober now?
So I'm not sober, but I've been clean off of my drug of choice coming up on 5 years now.
5 years. So that's awesome. Yeah. Good for you.
July 4th.
And now that's great because like you're not sober. Because you smoke weed.
Actually kind of stopped smoking weed in December, but no, I have a drink or two here and there.
And then you microdose. I know I microdose, and I'll have the very, very odd toke. Like there's
I smoked weed for a majority of my recovery. That's sort of what we modeled non-judgmental recovery off of as well, which is just whatever's not working for you, put that away, and here incorporate other pathways of holistic healing. And so cannabis for me got me to where I am today. Then it just started stop working for me, kind of started messing with my head there. So I put that, gave it a bit of a rest. But I still do some edibles. The microdosing psilocybin helped me quit smoking cigarettes, and improve my overall mental health. Also helped me create and repair my pathways, like my brain pathways. It's repairing my brain. I can feel it doing that. My memory's better. And then now a little bit of the ketamine too. So now there's the ketamine that's out, or you could on the microdosing scale too. So
and they're slow to legalize that too. That's one of my problems, with AA. Like I like the community of AA, going to meetings and such, but like definitely like they don't look, they don't. Any substance is a problem, and I mean I think that's what's cool about like our brand. We just want to, like I said, meet people where they are. And if you use weed or a substance, like that's the thing. I know a lot of people that were hardcore drug addicts that quit and can actually have a drink now and then and not fall back into their old ways.
Right. So, if you're happy and you're healthy and you're doing the next right thing and you're not hurting anybody doing that, then I support you 1,000,000%. And it doesn't matter. People can fall and come back and fall again. And the differences between those types of programs and ours, or just the way that in yours and here and how we're thinking here is we're just going to continue to support regardless. I know you've walked side by side of many, and we've had conversations of like, fuck, like we just wish they'll get it. And, and that may never come. But the fact that we're still there beside them through that journey, they're not alone, and they know that they're not alone. And it might be easier one day that when they do decide to make that choice, they know who they're going to call, and we'll be right there to support them, like to get them where they got to be to go. And instead of oh you're doing this, I can't be around you now, go away, ew, or I'm just gonna walk over you, or shit like that. I can't stand that shit. And that's what I got from those kind of programs. And that's not everybody. That's not
everybody, but
it's the mentality, the majority of the mentality there. Yeah.
I've tried a few different ones, and it's like, we don't want to like whatever works for you, do it. Like we're not, and again, we always say, if you're listening to this podcast and you're a part of AA or CA or NA, like we would love to have you on. Like we want to talk to everybody.
And we love you and we appreciate you. Thank you for helping so many people.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
But
we're not bashing you.
In those rooms telling me like, what's that? Sorry, Jess. What?
I'm not bashing you. I love you.
Yeah, I'm I like to go to those meetings once in a while, right? Like,
And me too.
I've learned a lot.
I'm going to one tomorrow for Buddy's 1 year cake.
Yeah, I'm supposed to go to one on the 9th for my friend's 10-year. Shout out to her. I don't know if it is, it is anonymous, so but shout out to her. She's got 10 years. But I'll sit in those rooms sometimes and I'll get nuggets of truth that are unreal, like little golden nuggets of like, I've been in those rooms where I've even heard lyrics and I'm like, oh, fuck, that'd make a good song title or a good lyric. Or some of those old timers, man, they drop in fire. But again, I've had guys tell me, well, you're not if you don't use this program, then you're not a real addict. You're just like, okay, well, talk to my girlfriends, my friends, my parents, like, so it is what it is.
Yeah.
Whatever works for you. So that's why
if they only knew.
The meetings that you have, your non-judgmental recovery, like how are those meetings? Like you're still doing that, right? So it's down at that little church or it's that little house. Sorry, Jess.
Yeah, it's at the Seed Center on Wednesdays at 6:30. And we run it hybrid, so you can join on our Zoom link. You can get that information on our Facebook page or our website. Website's nonjudgmentalrecovery.org. And yeah, but it's amazing. It's just we just sit in a circle, and then we'll Zoom squares, and we just really share where we're at, right? And you don't have to share if you don't want to share, but everyone gets a chance to share, which is different than the other, and there's no gray area, so we can talk we can talk about our family situation, our mental health, our medications, our use, our recovery, what programs working for us, and really in our preamble, in our model, it's create your own recovery, but we accept and support all pathways of recovery. And really, why not take what works, little bits of each one, and then make that our own? So a little bit of AA, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of SMART, a little bit of Life Ring, a little bit of Buddha stuff, like whatever it is that aligns with the belief system, and let's just make that mine. Like, let me make that mine so that I'm invested in my own recovery versus maybe some challenging issues that don't work for me in certain programs. So I could just, if that's going to be a barrier to my recovery or success, then I can just, okay, next, and I'll just, something else will work. And, that's the brilliance of it.
Yeah, and just opening up the communication and discussion amongst people, to find out what works and what doesn't, or just to explore options, right? And then somebody else might present something that you never thought about, and you incorporate that into it. So
that's right. Yeah. And I learn things every time I go, and I host one in the center too, treatment center, every second Tuesday as well. And there's gems, man. I learn more from people that are just coming in than some of the old timers. But those old timers have gems too. Like, whatever you did yesterday to stay sober, do it again today. Like how that's just
it is simple.
Okay,
it can be quite simple.
Right? Okay. Like, can it get any more simple? No, that's pretty fucking straight up and straightforward.
Until you fucking catch your girlfriend cheating on you, and you're like, oh, and then you're just like, fuck.
Oh yeah, get the torch. We're burning it down.
That's what I used to be like, like I'd lose my job, lose my car, lose this. And then I'd build it all back up and I'd be like, okay, got the job, got the chick, got the money in the bank, got a house. Okay, let's fucking torch.
Yeah, right.
Ride the roller coaster.
Well, that brings me, it brings me to my other question, because like I would do that over and over and over. And then finally I was like, it was a breakup. Like I've been in recovery since 2015. And it was a girl that broke up with me that finally just kind of shook me into like, okay, what's going on here? Like, why do I keep burning it down? Why do I keep losing girlfriends? What is going on? And it still took me so many tries to get to where I am now, and it's still not perfect. Like, I've had a recent slip up. Nothing crazy. I was able to put the brakes on and live mindfully and really be like, okay. But I also have a lot of purpose in my life. I have a beautiful career that keeps me going, right? So anyway, Jess, what possessed you, sir, to stop using? Like, what's one of the main things you did? How did you do it?
It was my son, my kid, Jesse Jr. It was his 5th birthday party, and went to Chuck E. Cheese. I actually decided to stop using for a couple days before, which was a big mistake. I actually should have kept using, so I would have been more attentive and a part of. Because I was in withdrawal and detoxing, I was a shit show. And in that moment, I realized something's got to change. I reached this emotional low that I've never felt before, and I reached lots of lows, physical, mental exhaustion. Yeah,
Plenty of rock bottoms.
Plenty of rock bottoms, right? But this one was in the heart here, and it was spiritual, and then I remember the look on his face, and he said, "Daddy, why aren't you in here playing?" And I'm just like, "Oh, I didn't have an answer." And then when he was done, all I cared about was getting some money from his mom so I can get high again. And that selfishness, I didn't want to be selfish anymore. I needed to be there for my boy. And so, and that was June 24th, 2019. And then July 4th was the day I went and I started my detox. It was a rough
this was off crack.
Yeah. I needed it to function. It wasn't just like, here, I'm smoking this, I'm getting high. It was like I needed it. It was just like heroin.
Jesus, man. Like when I did crack, I didn't function. I hid in the room, hiding behind the blinds. Like,
I needed it. I needed to wake up. I needed it to go to sleep. I needed it to walk. I needed it to breathe. I needed it to eat. If I did eat,
And
but
so you
no, it was.
So you made the choice. So you stopped basically, and then went to detox. How long were you detox for?
Turkey, detoxed on my mom's couch for about 30 days. Yeah, 30. We went into about $1,000 debt with food and weed and smokes and all that. And I really had to advocate heavily for myself too. So Cobble Creek there in Surrey, their counseling place, they wanted me to see a counselor a couple times before they made a referral. And I'm like, no, fuck you. I know exactly where I want to go. Here's the TB test. Here's all my medical shit, and just put the referral in. And they're like, oh, but we really, we have these policies and blah. I said, what? Fuck you. I'm dying and I need to get in. And then they put it through. And then
there's another rabbit hole of like trying to get, because you and I tried to get.
I didn't have somewhere to go. I would have been fucked. Like I would have been using, in that meantime too. I'm sure, because if I didn't have a safe place,
it's tricky, right?
Yeah,
that's a problem.
Yeah,
would you agree?
Absolutely.
Because we had
the window of opportunity is very small.
Yes, and I learned that the hard. I learned that like you and I were trying to get one of my guys in. And they literally like, well, he's got to do this, and he's got to go there, and he's got to do this, and he's got to call, and blah, 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 blah. I understand the reason why they want them to call, because they got to want it. But I think there's got to be a scenario where they just grab them and they go into the place and they do the paperwork after. Keep them isolated or something for a bit, just to make sure they're not. There's a lot of loopholes, right? So you had to fight.
Recovery houses are pretty good at getting people in right away too, right? But some of them aren't the greatest, not the best living accommodations, not the best food, not the best, but it's a bed. And that's where I send people. I send people to Surrey or wherever a bed's available. Even these Christian rehabs in Abbotsford and stuff. They usually have beds too. It's just, if the person wants it bad enough, they'll do it. They'll get it. Yeah. I've seen people sober up in the worst places and still stay sober today.
Then what would you say to anyone listening to this right now that's struggling with anything? What you got something you can tell them?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Just keep going, man, and that you're loved. Keep going, and you're loved, and you're worth it. You matter. That's what I'd say, is you matter.
And if somebody's like seeking resources, like what would you recommend? Like a first place for them to go to get information.
Sure. 211. 211 has it all.
Okay.
Yeah, they have everything on there. And if you need some support, call me, reach out to me. I'll help you navigate it. And depending on what city you're in, go to your local hub.
Awesome. And we'll make sure to include the links to everything, to these places.
Yeah, what is it? You want to throw it up there? Where can we, your Facebook is what?
So Facebook's Non-Judgmental Recovery, and our webpage is non-judgmentalrecovery.org.
Okay. And anything else that Any other
That's it.
links? No. And then your meetings are what time and where again? Sorry, just for
Wednesdays at 6:30 at the Seed Center here in Maple Ridge, and then on Thursdays at 6:30 at the North Burnaby Neighborhood House on Hastings.
and yeah, and then you're out there doing good with the people. Like you're out on the streets. You just getting
we
it
do
done.
outreach now. So we do outreach Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and every second Sunday. So our Monday outreach is from 5 to 7. I have a mobile unit and an on foot team. Tuesdays is 2 to 4. It's on foot Haney. Wednesdays, same thing, but 8 to 10 on foot in Haney. I'm working on doing getting another mobile so I can reach 203rd Pitt Meadows, reach a lot more people that way. And then Thursdays night reach 9 to 11. And then every second Sunday is our care packs. And I got food for 3 of them. So Monday there's lunches, Wednesdays lunches. So Monday lunches is supported by the St. Vincent de Paul. Same with the Wednesdays. It was Kiwanis, but that went back to Storm. I did resign from my position there, so the funding went with the resignation. But right. St. Vincent de Paul had stepped up, and now they're making us 60 lunches every Wednesday. And then Salvation Army supports us with lunches on the Sunday care pack. If I get food sprouted, I would. Huh?
Do you accept volunteers?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you want to volunteer, okay. And we have about
volunteers, 5 minutes. Donations, welcome, all of it.
Oh wow, right? Yeah, all of it. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
awesome.
We have about 5 minutes here. I just wanted to ask you one more question. We have 5 minutes. So like what can someone do to we have, people are driving by and they see we have addicted people, homeless people, there's the businesses are, they're complaining at things. What is something an everyday person can do to how would we treat one of these people that's struggling instead of yelling at them or getting mad? Is there anything we could do in the moment to make them feel more human?
I don't know. What I do is I like to bring food. If I can bring a sandwich or just say, "Hey, how are you?" Ask how someone's doing. Give them 5 minutes of your day.
Acknowledge them as a human being, which they are.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
You'd be surprised, right?
We even do these little rocks. Sometimes we'll just paint you matter and you're worth it and we love your love, and just it goes a long way.
People should be pretty grateful that they have their nice cars and their houses and their jobs and have the opportunity to cast harsh judgment on.
It could be gone in a blink of an eye. All that could be lost, and then you could end up right there where our folks are at. All it takes is one shitty event.
Yeah.
One shitty set of circumstances, and it's all gone.
Well, this was great, man. I'm so glad we had you on. Where you're definitely going to be a regular. We'd like to get you on more as this podcast and community grows. Like I said, in November, it sounds like Fear the Possessed will be playing a show, so we want to raise some money for Non-Judgmental Recovery. Get you right. We're going to do an event. Yeah, it's going to be the brand launch party too. So, thank you so much, man. I appreciate what you do. Appreciate you, and just continue to slay the fucking day. Continue to keep a positive mental attitude. Recovery is possible. Progress, not perfection.
Yeah.
Cheers, man.
Okay. Cheers.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me, man. Yeah. Look forward to seeing you guys again.
Okay.